I'm Larry Lawfer. Welcome back to Broker Talk. I'm your host each week. This is a weekly show about real estate topics and trends and best practices. Today, Hilton Head luxury real estate is our topic. Hilton Head is justifiably famous for its spectacular beaches and its world class golf courses. It is regularly voted one of the best vacation places in the world. Selling luxury real estate demands special skills, and one of the most important is both discretion and respecting privacy. Getting behind the velvet rope is no easy task. Our guest today, Daniella Stonefield, along with her partner, Rick Hollifield, created their bespoke real estate brand, Elevate Properties. It's part of the Charter One Realty Group. Daniella and Rick are members of the Real Trends Billionaires Club. They're known for their creative marketing for their clientele, giving them access to some of the world's most respected and valuable private networks. Welcome to Broker Talk, Daniella. Thank you for sharing with our audience. And can you tell me what the heck is bespoke real estate?
I can indeed. And Larry, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I do want to make a quick correction. So the Billionaires Club, which is a designation that belongs to my brokerage, which is Charter One. We were the first company in this area to break the $1 billion mark for a single year of sales, which for some larger markets, of course, isn't all that much to talk about. But here in the Hilton Head and surrounding areas was quite a high water mark. And since that year, we have consistently broken our own records and stayed at the top of that list. So kudos to all of my incredible colleagues for all of us together in the aggregate getting to that point. But to answer your question very quickly, bespoke it's more of a descriptor. And what it really means is to tailor something to specifics, to a person, to a personality, to a set of goals, for example. And so that is really how we operate our team here at Elevate Properties to really be a tailored bespoke brand where whether it's the goal of an individual client or for a particular property, crafting that story, whatever needs that special tailored touch, that's really how we specialize in what we do.
Well, I think the ability to tell a story is critical in this market. There are some people who push back. You could put anything on the market right now and it'll sell in a weekend. We know that's not true. We also know it's not going to get the highest price. Tell a better story, get a better result. What kind of stories, how do you change your story from one luxury property to another?
Well, I don't even think that we change the story. I think that the home tells us its story, and the people who have lived there tell us their stories. And then, really, what we're doing, you may have heard, historic artists, marble sculptors would say, I'm not sculpting this. The marble is holding it, and I'm just trying to find it. I think that's really how we approach that same thing as well, because each of these homes has a story. So if it needs a little bit of help being crafted, of course, we're there to do that. But the fact of the matter is, all we're doing is unearthing the reality of what it's like to be in this space and showcasing it in a beautiful way that helps the audience connect.
Right, right. And yet, one of the things that all luxury properties, they're all nice homes. They're all beautiful homes. What's the difference between Sub-Zero and Malay, or one type of granite versus another type of finish? That is all wrapped up in the story, and it's part of how these people lived. And I think you're right. The people who lived in the house are the best people to tell us the story, and we're out there looking for somebody who's going to resonate with that story. If the family raised their kids and all of them went to great schools and or all of them, send their mom Mother's Day presents
Mm-hmm.
each year, there's moms out there that would want that for their family too. Uh,
Sure. Yeah.
uh, and it really is true. Husbands help, women make the decision because at least I've found that, and I'm totally good with that. I often, when I'm first meeting them, the husband will ask some question, quite often a money question. That makes me realize that he's actually paying attention. But I'll always look at him and say, uh, I hear what you're saying, but I'm listening to her. And the wife always gets it right away because
Mm-hmm.
I think the best practices for having discussions with people who are selling with luxury, they are not going to yell at you like many clients would. You're going to hear from a
Mhm.
lawyer. So a day without a lawyer
Right.
is a good day. And I've never been sued. I doubt very much if you've ever been sued. But
Mm.
uh, do you have a series of questions that you ask your clients going in?
Yes and no. I think that there are things we're very, as you and I sitting here are today. I think that we tend to be very conversational. Rick and I operate a little bit differently than a lot of our colleagues, insofar as we're less systematic in a way. We don't walk in with a pile of papers and say, okay, show me around, and then we sit down and go through all of this. We really operate more on a touch and go, far from unprepared, but we like to read the room and react and adapt to what's happening. And so what we have found that at least it works in our culture here in this area is we're very much a personal relationship kind of place that still very much matters here. So if I'm trying to get to the bottom of understanding what it's like to live in a certain place, of course those questions will come up. Oh, what's your favorite room in the house? What do you do over here? What does this look like on a Sunday morning? Those kinds of things. But it's all very conversational and very comfortable.
Well, that's those questions that you just asked are wonderful. What's your favorite place in the house? Because that's
Mm-hmm.
something that you can use in the marketing later.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they loved it, uh, and some of the answers I've gotten, I'm sure you have too. I love my bedroom because it's so bright in the morning. Okay, east
Mm-hmm.
facing bedroom. A lot of people like that. The morning people always love that. The not some good morning people, they might want a west facing.
That's right.
Another one I hear is we love our dining room or family room because we have a lot of friends and everything. So you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about open concept. If you listen, they're telling you,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to be listening. I used to way back in the day when everybody had a canned kind of presentation. Here, look at my presentation, and I used to come in with that presentation, on a disc,
Mm-hmm.
with my computer. I said, "Listen, um, we can go through." This PowerPoint that shows you I'm the best agent working for the best agency, and you're gonna love us, or I can ask you these 20 questions and we can find out what you want to do. Which would you like to do? Everybody
Mm-hmm.
chose the 20 questions because all those canned speeches, all that script practicing, that's absurd. It's not authentic, it's not real, and it doesn't help. So you need to. Luxury real estate, we're both members of the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing. Um,
That's right.
and it's a place where you can learn from the best. Um, and you're part of, is it Realm? Um,
That's right.
Explain to the audience what Realm is.
Well, I can do it quickly or I could take a very long time. I'll try and do it quickly. Realm Global is essentially, it is a collection of and I'm inadvertently tooting my own horn here. It's a collection of the most accomplished real estate professionals around the country and around the world. And of course, it's a relatively young organization. We've just celebrated 2 years in existence, and I am among the founding members of that group. I know that you had Brennan on a little while ago, Brennan Buckley, who is, of course, instrumental in that. It was originally founded by Julie Falvel and an incredible team of people who are just absolute visionaries, and they can see the value of connection. And of course, that's how I got here with you today, Larry, because I see the value of connection. And for me, having the tech, having the resources, those things all matter, and it's important to know how to use
Right.
them. But at the end of the day, it's being able to pick up the phone and call Julie Falpel or Ann Abernethy, for example. She's phenomenal. She has a new podcast and show called Beyond Badass. I think it's called. I hope I'm allowed to say that. But it's all these amazing people doing all these amazing things, and it's an incredible group to be a part of, and I am beyond honored to be part of it.
I want to jump off the badass for a moment and say
Sorry about that.
yeah, my least favorite word is rock star. That is ridiculous, and a lot of people use it. But there's a
Mm.
great book, a book written by a woman about becoming an entrepreneur, and Jen Sincere is the writer's name. You may already be a badass, and it's filled with wonderful things that make you feel your own power. And it's not like, hey, I'm a badass. It's more like I am in control. I know what's going on, and I can add value. Where do I do that right now? I think being a badass is better than a rock star, in my.
I agree. And I love what you just said about I have this knowledge. I know how to control this particular circumstance. How can I add value to your life? That is the question that I literally wake up in the morning thinking about that and go to sleep at night thinking about that. How can I add value to those people for whom our team works? Because that is the question. And being able to answer it makes all the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and even if you can't answer it right away, being confident
Mm.
enough to know that you're going to have the answer, um, which gets us to the creativity of what it is that we do. Um, there's nothing creative about listening. What the creative part is understanding what you're hearing. And your background, I know, is in philosophy. There are not many real estate agents that come up out of a philosophical bend, but all agents started somewhere. And
Mm.
understanding how to think, which is what philosophy is all about, um, is a perfect um, way to come into this business. How has that background helped you personally?
That is a really fantastic question, and a lot of people ask because they really don't know. You think philosophy, and you think out of work or Starbucks or something like that. But in our case, really, I mean, unless you're a professor or an author or something. But in my case, that is my academic background along with political science and economics. Tossed aviation in there for fun. I just like it. But it, it all comes together. The economics, of course, I think has probably an obvious component here, being in business and being in real estate. Politics is all about human interaction, and philosophy is, as you say, it's not what to think, it's how to think, how that actual structure works. So a big part of my focus was in epistemology and logic, and so it's really understanding the substructure of thought itself and communication itself, and being able to truly understand what you're hearing and truly get to a place of understanding of not only what you're hearing, but how you're communicating. Because it's fascinating to me to watch conversations where I can tell that each person, despite the fact that they're face to face and focused on each other, is having a completely separate conversation. And they almost never notice. And so it's really interesting to think about and do those thought experiments. And of course, philosophers love thought experiments. So I think in so many more ways than I have time to explain to you here today, it factors into everything. And of course, it factors into just who I am and how I think. And that obviously bleeds into my profession.
I've seen examples of that exact thing. Two people like not with children. It's called
Mm,
parallel play. So they're playing, but they're not, and they're physically together, but they're not doing the same thing. It's
mm,
absolutely wonderful for them to come together in some way. One will show the other person, and then they become connected. You're always looking for that connection, and not to manipulate or take advantage of, but you have a goal, you have an objective, and that's why we're here. And
mhm,
that objective is to help them get to their next spot. It's rarely about us, it's always about
mhm,
them. Um, Story, I just I can never leave how important story is, um, and especially in luxury real estate. Now, uh, people who are purchasing luxury real estate have luxury magazines, go to luxury hotels, get lots and lots and lots of email and marketing from really high end companies. So if you're going in there thinking you're just going to wing it, I know you said you wing it, but you're winging it after years of experience, and you're not really winging it. You're
It's
on
an important distinction.
Yeah, you're on the top of a mountain and you're going in with confidence, knowing whatever is said, you're going to have a solution for it. I tell
Precisely.
people all the time towards the end, right before they sign, this is a process. Uh, During the process, we're going to have three uh-oh moments and one jump off the cliff moment. I don't know what they're going to be, but I know they're going to happen. So when I call you and I tell you we've got an uh-oh moment or a jump off the cliff moment, you'll know that we're here and we're going to get through it. Um, uh-oh moments are something in the inspection. Jump off the cliffs are more about we don't have clear to close. We've got a title issue.
Yeah.
Things that take
And we've all
longer.
seen that.
It's again, you have to be prepared. And I find luxury people expect you to know what the next step and the next step and the next step, because that's how they got, well, most of them, that's how they got the money that they have. Some of them were given
Hmm.
it, but most of them work for it or work to keep it or and grow it. Um, do you also buy and sell real estate, you and Rick, at all?
Yeah, and that's something I was just talking to investor clients because we have, of course, there's sort of the listing side and the buyer side, and then there's investors, which is its own skill set. And so that is something that we were just talking to an investor client about the other day. My interest coming up is going to be multifamily, so that's what I'm going to be getting into. I say I. He, if it's me and him, or me or him, it's both of us. So that's really the fact. But yes, that is what we'll be getting into. So in the next couple of years, we'll be doing a lot more of that. I'm very excited to be part of that. But yeah, right now our focus is really on the sales side of things for other clients.
I can't imagine. I haven't visited Hilton Head but once, and that was years ago. Um, are there any multifamilies on the island?
So not really. There are some, but in our area, the way it really works, we've got a couple of apartment complexes or fourplexes or something like that. But for most of our what would be considered multi-unit, each of the individual units is separately owned. So you can't buy the building, for example, unless you were to buy from each of the individual owners all at once. So it's not common here, but my interest is actually in potentially in other markets.
I see.
So I'll be looking elsewhere.
Okay. Okay. Multifamilies, I've had a number of investors on, and I do investing myself. Um,
Hmm.
uh, I think everybody has their sweet spot.
Hmm.
Multifamilies are a sweet spot for a lot of investors right now. I
Hmm.
think the phrase they use is buy fewer doors, get more rent. And,
Hmm.
if you have multifamily, like we have a ton of them here in the Boston area, three families,
Hmm.
four, triple deckers, multifamilies, you're buying one front door, but all the other doors inside. So you've got one building plus all of that.
Hmm.
Um, there is a lot of money out there picking those up right now because even though it's a pretty expensive market, our area went up 23%. And I looked
Hmm.
before I came in, your areas also had phenomenal growth in this very last year.
Oh, yes.
So I was talking to a client yesterday, and they're looking to purchase a property. They wanted to cap it at 1 million. They prefer 900, but in the last several weeks, everything that we've looked at has gone over that. And he was talking to me yesterday saying, "Oh, it looks like we've got to go over this, but we see that we keep losing them." And I said to him, all the clients that I sold to last year who thought they were in overpriced houses are now sitting on 20% equity because of that. And I don't know if that is kind of a salesy kind of a thing, but it's also a reality kind of thing. We can't say that's going to happen next year, um,
Right.
but it sure hasn't come down. You know, anytime. What was it? 2008, 2009. It is
Hmm.
a cycle. There's always going to be a cycle, uh,
Hmm.
but that cycle is going is going up. It's not.
Exactly.
Um, and net wealth has always been measured not only in terms of money, but in terms of real estate. How much land do you own? Uh, I know that last week was Black History Month, and I read while in preparation of the show that is it Mechanicsville, a small little town in Hilton Head, was the first community, and it was started by the plantation owners, the slaves that lived on the plantation owners, and it started in 1861, right around the Civil War. Um,
Well, we have an area on Hilton Head proper called Mitchellville. And
Mitchellville,
Mitchellville,
yeah.
yes, and Mitchellville to this day is a very, very important geographical piece, I'm sorry, of Gullah culture, Gullah Geechee culture. And of course, that culture was born out of the individuals who were finally freed and brought their, what was based in African culture from wherever they came from in their individual countries to this area, and it really meshed with what it became, which is Gullah. So you see things like the grass baskets, which are so incredibly beautiful that they weave, and Gullah food, the beans and the rice and the deviled crab and the things that come from the earth of this area. And this is such an abundant, wonderful place, but it, that culture really took and takes. It's very much alive and well. Advantage of what it means to be here. And yes, one of the places, of the many places, in fact, in our area, as part of our Reconstruction era sort of memorial and nod to the past, and keeping that past alive in the sense of people being aware of it, is that area, that Mitchellville area.
Yeah, I found that really fascinating. I'm not a fan of Mel Gibson, but I am a fan of The Patriot. He was in that, and there's a place there where they go onto an island, and he takes his family, and I just wonder if that was based on Mitchellville, because it sure looks like Hilton Head to me.
You know what? I should know that because you are the second person in as many days to say that, and I had never heard it before. So I don't, I don't know why people are talking about it now, but I should know the answer to that if that was some sort of an inspiration, and I don't, but I can certainly find out.
It's about two-thirds of the movie through. You would recognize it. Like if I see any beaches
I'm
or
sure I
anything
would.
in movies here around our area,
Mhm.
I know it. There's so many movies that are made in and around Boston, and you can say that's not South Boston, that's East Boston, but
Exactly.
I think that's fun. Well, everyone knows about the incredible gulf that exists. But you told me earlier, I mean, it's absolutely true, but it's not a complete understanding of what it offers. What are some of the other things that Hilton Head offers people buying a second home or people retiring and moving to the area?
Yes, and all of the above, and as you say, as well as a lot of other things. So, of course, golf, retirement, beach, those are the things that this area is really known for. And just as a point of clarification for our viewers, when I say this area, we talk about cities like Savannah to our south or Charleston to our north, and those areas and their surrounding sort of pockets are considered part of that greater single entity. Well, in our case, our area is really simply just called the South Carolina Low Country, and it's really just where we are, as our portion of it is south of Charleston to north of Savannah. And it's an interesting place because we are our pockets. So we don't have an anchor city. So Hilton Head is one of our three primary submarkets. Bluffton, which of course is growing like crazy, as well as Beaufort and the surrounding sea islands. And those are each of them have their own flavor, their own character. And this whole region, you're part of this whole region when you come here. So you typically will have, for whatever town is for you, depending on where your home is. But this entire region really is home. And so Hilton Head is part of that stew. But of course, to get into the typical stuff, there's tennis, there's boating, there's a nature trails, and we're a Gold Star biking community, which is very difficult to get, as I understand. Um, it's beautiful year round. You can be outside all year round. And so water sports and fishing and all kinds of things. Bluffton is very centered on the May River and the rivers and estuaries that surround it. And so that sort of boating life and all of that fine dining is a major, major element of being here. We have some of the most amazing restaurants, and we travel a lot, and we have incredible restaurants here. They can stand up to almost anywhere that I can think of. maybe not by volume, but certainly by quality. And then, of course, Beaufort. Beaufort's an extraordinarily literary community, also a river community. It has a beautiful city marina, wonderful food, wonderful culture. Um, it's not really beach centric because there is no beach there other than Hunting Island, which is a state park. So again, it's just me rattling all of this off and trying to stop myself. But basically, there's so much to do and to know here. And because so much of it is private or behind a tree line, it's very difficult to self navigate here. A lot of people come here and try and drive around, as they say. You can do that. But the point at which you decide to call someone like us, that's just depending on how much time you want to spend trying to do that, because you'll end up taking a lot more than you need to.
Right, right. We talked about this earlier. I have people
Mm,
from other areas calling me, and when they hear about an area like Hilton Head or somewhere in Boston, they think, I need to be in Cambridge or I need to be in Brookline, and why do you think you should be there? Or my child should be
hmm
in Alston, Brighton. These are every time a area is mentioned, I know the area, and I can drill down a little bit further. Well, why do you think that? But I want to ask you a different question, and this is an environmental type question. The Boston Harbor, especially the luxury market in the Boston Harbor, has built up on the harbor there. Condos can start at 2 million. Beautiful, beautiful views. Um, with the changing temperatures and water rising, I'm part of a group that pays attention to this, and they're looking for a huge jump that's going to put most of that area underwater. Do you consider something like that when someone comes in and wants to build right on the ocean?
Not necessarily, for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think most everyone is versed in that conversation to the extent that they want to be, and of course, it's become, as many things that aren't actually political, heavily politicized. For some reason, that seems to be an intriguing point for people. But it's something that comes up. Of course, as I said, our region is called the Low Country. It's already low. It's already a coastal zone. It's already a potential flood zone. So these are things that you know coming in. Am I concerned that these waterfront homes are going to be underwater in 5 or 10 years? I'm not. No, for a number of reasons. A, they're not right at that base elevation. That's the first thing. And the second thing is most of them are built up. We're on dunes or on bluffs, or there are a number of things that you're not just kind of right there, and they're not right on the water. So that's something that doesn't really happen here. We have setbacks and a lot of ecological conservation and things like that. So it's very, very strictly regulated how close you can be to the water line, the build envelope, all of those kinds of things. So it's a conversation that we frequently find ourselves having for a number of reasons, but it's not an immediate concern in my personal opinion.
Yeah, yeah, and I can't. None of us can afford to be political because everybody has their and we were.
Isn't that the truth?
Your politics doesn't matter in your real estate buying, unless you're looking for a particular kind of community to go in. But but we do have to be knowledgeable, and
Yes.
the redevelopment BRA, it's called Boston Redevelopment Authority, has scientists looking at this, and
hmm
I've been in meetings where it is somewhat of a concern, um, but I bring it up. I don't push it. It's not my
Mm.
job. It's their job to make a decision. I bring them what I know to be facts, and I think that's our job. We bring the facts, you make your decision because it's not our house, it's your house.
That's right.
Yeah. What haven't I asked you? We're coming to the end here, and I feel like I could go another hour, but what haven't I asked you?
Well, my gosh, I'd have to take a moment to think about that, and I might use up our time just thinking about it. It's that philosophy again. Let me see. Hmm.
Why is there a
I don't
poster of
know.
the 2015 Masters on your wall?
Oh, okay. So I will give you the fun answer to that, and that is, as we talked about before we got on the air, my Rick, who is also my husband, he walked in with some clients just before we started, and I was planning on doing this in the studio that I have set up in our home office, and he grabbed my keys by accident. So I am here in our office, and I'm in his corner. So he went to the Masters
Oh,
a while
okay.
ago, and I had to set up in his area.
Well,
So it's
you
not
know,
that interesting an answer, but that's the answer.
yeah. A shout out to my own brother who has never watched a single of my 150 episodes, but because we're talking about Hilton Head, hey Jay, good to have you here. So,
Hi, Jay.
um,
And Jay, the Heritage is coming up. You should come on down.
he probably already has it booked. I don't know. Daniela, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Um, and I just think this has been wonderful. I look forward to having you. Thanks to Daniella Stonefield of Eleve Properties. S- uh, come back next week and we'll have another great person. But thanks again, Danielle. It's been great.
Thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate it.